Okay, we're up to Tes Zayin Amid Beis by the two dots. We saw a machlokus yesterday between Rebbe and Tanakama, whether Yontif that falls out on Erev Shabbos, whether you can make an Erev Tchumim and Erev Chatzeres. They both said you can't make an Erev Tchumim, and they had a machlokus by Erev Chatzeres. Rebbe said, I can't make an Erev Tchumim because it's asur on Yontif and Shabbos to go outside the Tchum. Mashenkin on Yontif, but you're permitted to carry, therefore Erev Yontif for Shabbos, I can make an Erev Chatzeres because I'm permitted to go ahead and make something that is mutter. Okay, now, Iboilahu, halacha karebi lekula or lechumra. Is the halacha like Rebbe lekula, meaning that will say you can make Erev Yontif on Erev Shabbos, Yontif falls on Erev Shabbos, you would be able to make an Erev Chatzeros or lechumra. Now, Pshita, it's Pshita, the lekula ka'amar, right? Pshita that he was speaking lekula. Okay. The Tanakama asked both. Rebbe permitted one. So how can you possibly think that Rebbe is being machmir? Clearly, Rebbe is being makel by Erev Chatzeros. So says the Gemara, Mishum desholach Rabbi Elazar legoyla like kishatim shein. Rabbi Elazar sent from Eretz Yisrael, not like you learned that in Bavel that Rebbe matir that Rebbe is the makel, the chachamim moisrim. El Rebbe also Rebbe asks both Techumim and Chatzeros. The chachamim matir and they permitted Chatzeros. So the question is, which girsa is correct? Zicha, if you go according to the girsa of Bavel, Rebbe is the makel. If you go according to the girsa that Rebbe Elazar sent from Eretz Yisrael, then the chachamim are the makel. So who do we go like? That's what the question is. Are we going like the girsa of Bavel, Kula, or are we going to Eretz Yisrael, Chumra? So says the Gemara Toshma, the Rav Tachlifa bar Avdimi, Ovid Uvda Kavasei de Shmuel. He went in the way that Shmuel explained it, right? He went the way that Shmuel, what does Shmuel do? That what v'omar Rav Tchilas Hayra the Haitzum Rabbana L'Kekula. That the beginning of this Hayra of Shmuel is L'Kekula. So Iyam B'Shneim L'Kekula Kamar Hainal Kekula. You know, the Shmuel was going like the gears of Bavel, that he permitted Erev Chatzeros. And the kilkel is you're going to allow him to carry, allow him to make an Erev Chatzeros in the first place when he's not allowed to. So Zicha, from the reaction of Rav Tachla, of Rav, of Rav, Tchilas Hayra, of Rav, the Girsa, the reaction of Rav to Shmuel's psak illustrates that Rebbe must have been makel because he's making an Erev Chatzeros when you're not allowed to. If you're saying this l'chumra, what beer can come out? If it's being machmir and says you can't make it, what possibly beer can come out? It says the Gemara, Kivin the Mekalaba, Rabim, Kivin the Mekalkaliba, Rabim, Hainal Kukula. Since the Rabim could be, they can go ahead, what? They'll forget and they'll carry because he was machmir and Erev Chatzeros, and a kilkel can come out. So in other words, you're not locked into saying from this incident that Rebbe was makel. Can't say Rebbe was machmir. What's the kilkula? Since he was machmir and they didn't have Erev Chatzeros, they would still carry in the first place. So you want machriya either way, either l'kula or l'chumra. You want machriya. Amar Aleph Yud Zayin, Amar Aleph Amar Rav, top line. Amar Rav Chisda, Amar Rav Huna. Halacha karebi. The halacha is like Rebbe ula es, or the halacha is like Rebbe, and it's also to make, if Yontif falls out on Erev Shabbos, it's also to make an Erev Chatzeros. Tan Rabbanan, Yontif shechal yos bis Shabbos, not an Erev Shabbos. Yontif is falling out on Shabbos. Beishama Yomim. Now we're going to go digress. I will leave Erev Tavshilin and the halachas of Erev. We're going to discuss the halachas of Shmoneh Esrei. So we know clearly in Shmoneh Esrei there's 6 brachas that are constant. There are the 3 brachas in the beginning, Shvach of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and then there's the 3 brachas in the end, which is Hoidah, Moedim, and let's say Avodah, Moedim, and Shalom. So the first 3 and the last 3 are consistent. We say them during the Chayil, and we say them during on Yontif. The question is on Yontif, when Yontif falls on Shabbos, so now I have 2 tefillas. I have tefillas Yontif, tefillas Shabbos. How many brachas do you make? The first 3, the last 3, and 2 in the middle, 1 for Yontif, 1 for Shabbos, or the first 3, the last 3, and then we make 1 bracha, which both in the middle, which is a total of 7, which encompasses both Shabbos and Yontif. That's the shayla here. Tan Rabbanan. Yontif shechali yisber Shabbos beishama yoimrim nespal shmeina. You're going to go ahead and make 8 brachas. Where do you get the other? Where do you get 8? the first three, the last three, and Shal Shabbos, Shal Yantiv, two brachas, one for Shabbos, one for Yantiv, a total of 8. They still learn him, no. Mispal Sheva, like we do, we only make 7 brachas, the first 3, the latter 3, and 1 middle bracha. Maskal b'shal Shabbos, we begin in the middle bracha, we begin with Shabbos, u'misayim b'shal Shabbos. V'oimer kedushas hayom be'emtza. And in the middle of that bracha, we go ahead and say kedushas hayom in the middle. So we begin with Shabbos, we put end with Shabbos, and we put kedushas in the middle. We don't do this, guys, so we don't do this. What do? We do the following. Rabbi Omer, af choisim ba. We even choisim with Yontif. Mekadesh HaShabbos v'Yisrael v'hazmanim. So in other words, that's outside. 3 beginning, 3 end. Beis Shammai 2 in the middle, no. Beis Hillel, 3 in the beginning, 3 in the end, and 1 in the middle. Machloikis in that 1 in the middle. What's the nusach of the bracha? According to one opinion, it's Shabbos, Yontif, Shabbos. According to the other opinion, it's Shabbos, and then we go ahead and we end off with Shabbos, Yontif. And that's what we do. Rabbi Yomer, af choisim ba mekadesh Shabbos v'Yisrael b'azmanim. Tani Tana Kamei the Ravina, a reciter of Baisis, was speaking for the Ravina, and he said the following. He didn't say Mekadesh Shabbos for Yisrael. He said Mekadesh Yisrael v'Shabbos v'Hazmanim. So he went ahead. He put Yisrael before Shabbos v'Hazmanim. Now we know that Mekadesh Hazmanim is that the Kedushas of Yisrael, Hakadosh Baruch Hu empowered us to go ahead and be Mekadesh Levana, and therefore we set the Mayadim. We set when Yom Kippur where Rosh Chodesh is. Conversely, Shabbos has nothing to do with Levana. Shabbos is on a weekly set schedule. Shabbos Bereishis, we call it. Why? Because it's been that way from the beginning of Bereishis. So if you're going to be Guris, the following Gersa, Mekadesh Yisrael v'Hashabbos v'Hazmanim, Smashmi Yisrael is not only Mekadesh Manim, it's Mekadesh Shabbos as well. So Amalei, Seravina to this reciter of Brises, of the Shabbos Yisrael Mekadesh Lei. Is Shabbos Mekadesh Al Yidei Yisrael, but Shabbos Mekadesh V'Kaima. It's, as I said, it's called Shabbos Bereishis for a reason. It's every 7th day. Elaima Mekadesh HaShabbos v'Yisrael v'Hazmanim, like Rabbi, Mekadesh HaShabbos, Hashem is Mekadesh HaShabbos, and Yisrael is Mekadesh Yisrael to be Mekadesh L'Zmanim. Very geschmack. The loch is like Rabbi and like Ravina was Mataris that recited the Brises. We say Mekadesh HaShabbos Yisrael v'Hazmanim. Tanabana, again, continuing the digression. Tanabana, Shabbos shechal yis b'Rosh Chodesh or b'Chol Shel Moed. Shabbos that falls out on Shabbos falls out Rosh Chodesh or Chol Shel Moed. So Arvis v'Shachos and Mincha Mispal Sheva, 3 beginning, 3 end, 1 in the middle. V'Yomer Ein Me'ura, and we say in that middle one we say whatever the day is. If it's Rosh Chodesh, we say Rosh Chodesh. This is the bracha, guys, of Yale V'Yavo. So you say what? You say Yale V'Yavo. You say Rosh Chodesh, and if it's Yontif, you say Pesach, Sukkot, or Shavuos. When you say it, you say in the bracha of Ritzei. That's what we do. And if you don't say it, so you go ahead and you have to go back. Rosh Chodesh at night, you do not go back. Tosfos says in Masech the Brachas that a Mekachin Levana B'Layla. Rabbi Lezer says no. Rabbi Lezer says b'Hoidah. You say it in Moedim. You say Moedim just like we say Alanisim upon Chanukah and Purim in the bracha of Moedim. So then you go ahead and mention Rosh Chodesh and Yontif, not in Ritzei, but in Moedim. We don't pass like that. Uv Musafim, what about Musaf? Maskul b'Shal Shabbos, Messiah b'Shal Shabbos, V'Yom Kedushas Hayom Be'emtza. Okay, and by Musaf we begin Shabbos, and then we end with Shabbos, and we mentioned in the middle the Yontif. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, Rabbi Yishmael, Ben Aishal, Rabbi Yechon, Braika, Oimim, Kol Makom Shehusik L'Sheva, Maskul b'Shal Shabbos, Messiah b'Shal Shabbos, V'Yom Kedushas Hayom Be'emtza. However, Amar Huna Ein Halacha Koisei Zug. That Nach is not like that zug. In other words, we don't go ahead and say Shabbos in the middle, Yontif in the 7th prophet, right? We mentioned Ya'aleh B'Yavo. Again, they say you don't say Ya'aleh B'Yavo. They say in the bracha you're going to say 3 in the beginning, 3 in the end, and in the middle you're going to go ahead and say Shabbos, Yontif, Shabbos. We don't pass like that. You say Ya'aleh B'Yavo. Amar Huna Ein Halacha Koisei Zug. The halacha is not like that zug. The halacha is not like Rabbi Shimon Gamliel and Rabbi Yishmael. B'nai Shel B'Yachon Bracha. Amrav Huna, Amrav Chia Barashi, Amarav, Meniach Odem. Okay, back to the Erev Tavshilin. Amrav Huna, Ein Halacha Koi says, Amrav Chia Barashi, Amarav. Amrav Chia Barashi, Amarav, Meniach Odem Erev Tchumim Miyantiv L'Chaverei. Umasna, a person can leave an Erev Tchumim from one to the other and make a condition. Okay, let's see Rashi over here. Okay, we wrote the Yud Zayin Amud Aleph. Rabbi Rosenzweig got the Yud Zayin Amud Aleph. A little more than halfway down the page. Right? What does it say? What tonight are we speaking about over here? So Rashi says, we're speaking about where Yontif falls out. What guys on Thursday, Friday? Good. So now the first day of Yontif is Thursday. Then you have Friday. Now, if you remember on the first day on Thursday, when Yontif falls out on Thursday and Friday, umasna, you make the following condition. Im hayom chayil, again, we're mesupik, correct? We don't know. If today is chayil, umacha kodesh, and tomorrow's kodesh, eruvay erev, then the erev, I'm making erev tavshilin, I have no problem. I'm making my erev tavshilin on chayil for Yontif. Then chalav, and if today is kodesh, guys, you don't have to say anything. If today is kodesh, then tomorrow's chayil. Guys, if tomorrow's chayil, I don't need an erev tavshilin because I can cook from chayil to Shabbos. So you can make in condition, right? If today is chayil, then I'm making my erev tavshilin now. And if tomorrow is today is kodesh and tomorrow's chayil, I don't need an erev tavshilin. However, by a erev tchumim, it's a little more complicated. By erev tchumim, you have to go ahead and say both. It says, continues Rashi, uv tchumim yoimar im hayom. Let's go to the Bach. Im hayom hayom chayil umacha kodesh. If today, Thursday, is chayil and tomorrow's kodesh, then eruv erev. Then I'm making an erev now for Friday. And im hayom kodesh, and if in yom's kodesh ain't bevari klum, then there's nothing. I'm not saying anything. And then the next day you would say, oh, if yesterday was kodesh, today's chayil, and now I'm making it for the next day. So either way, you can accomplish that. Back in the Gemara. What's the halacha? The one who said erev tchumim, kol shken erev tavshilin, right? My timer, they'll make shvisa b'Shabbos law. You can't be kind of shvisa on Shabbos. You can't bake from one yontif to this other one. Now, we know you need to make an erev tavshilin, but once you're cooking on yontif, you can pile it up in the pot. It's no big tircha, 1 piece or 10 pieces. You pile it up in the pot. You're okay. He's baking. He needs water. So even though it needs one measurement of a keton, whatever that is, but each passes the. I just skipped the line. To go ahead and bake. Now this is all tircha, guys. It's no big tircha to go ahead, put 1 piece of chicken in the pot or 10 pieces. It's no big difference to put one barrel in, one keton in the barrel or 10 ketons in the barrel. Each individual bread is a tircha by itself. So therefore, you would not be permitted to go ahead, according to this opinion, to go ahead and constantly make pieces. Because again, the tircha of each and every piece. Only what you need. However, Reb Shimon Elazar, I'm able to be matriach because it's going to make it better. What does that mean? The ovens were small and they were like pitas. They would go ahead and put them on the walls of the oven. So the more that it was covered, the heat would stay insulated within the oven and wouldn't escape. So since it improves the piece of bread that I'm making now, you're able to do it. Says the Gemara that the halacha is like that. Amarava halacha Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar that you can go ahead and fill up the oven. That's the halacha. Someone who didn't leave an erev tavshilin, who ne'asar, the kimchay ne'asar. Is he aser and his food is aser? Or maybe just he is aser to cook and bake, but his kemach will be permitted. To go ahead and be makna to other people. So does he have to go ahead and be makna to other people? Does he have to give his matana to another person in order to facilitate him getting food? If you're going to tell me that he's aser and his wheat is also aser, then he'd have to give him matana to somebody else. Once it becomes somebody else's, he could use it. However, the Amid who Nesar and Kimche Nesar, if you're going to say only he's Asa, but his food is not Asa, then like it would not be unnecessary to go ahead and be makna to somebody else because he's able to use yours. What's the din? Toshma, Mishla Nicher Tafshilin, Harizel lo yofer, he should not bake, lo yivashel, he should not cook, lo yatmin, he should not insulate, lo loy, not for himself, lo lacherim, not for others. Lo lacherim, moiflim mivashlim loy, and others that can't go ahead and be mashal for him. In other words, they can't use his stuff. Ketzur Oisa, Makna Kimchel Acherim, he should be Makna his kemach to other people. Voifim loy, then they can bake for him, mivashlim loy, shmamino, hu nesa, v'kimchel nesa. Shmamino, you have a carte blanche, obvious raya, that what? That not only is he also, the fact that he has to be makna to somebody else, that the kemach is also also. What happens if a person is over? You didn't make an erev tavshilin, Michael Nefesh is muta, and you went and you did it. You went and you were over on the words of the Chachamim. You went and did it. What's the din? Tashma. Mishlo aniach erev tavshilin. Ketzur. So what should you do? Makna kimchel chaver. We just mentioned this brisa. Go ahead and be makna as a matana, the kemach to your friend. V'acherim ma'ifim loyim v'vashim loyim beis, and other people will go ahead and bake for him, cook for him. The isa. And if you're telling me that you're telling me the heter, what should you ketzad? In other words, this brisa is giving me the workaround. How do you work around it? Be makna to your friend a piece of kemach and let him go ahead and bake for you. Now, if it's true v'im isa that if he's over and he goes ahead and makes his own food, it's also a workaround. It works. Listening of offer. Let the brisa that's listening the heter to work around the problem, just learn avar, if he's over offer and he bakes muta. Now it's an obvious answer. Amravada b'masna tana takanta de terikatani, takanta de sur loikatani. It's not obvious that it's aser. Maybe it's muta, but the Tana was giving you the heter to work around, how to work around it. He was giving you that. He wasn't giving you an iser. So therefore, you have no raya that if you're over and it's mutter, you have no raya that it's mutter or it's awesome. Shema, let's try to prove again. Again, what's a kasha? If a person is over and bakes it or cooks, can he eat the food? Tashma, mishaniach erev tavshilin. How he said oifer, he can go ahead and he can bake. Umavashel umatmin, he can cook, he can insulate. If he wants to eat his erev, he has permission. If he eats the erev tavshilin, he has the permission. However, if he ate the erev tavshilin on Yontif before he baked, hitmin until he bought, he right. He shouldn't do it. What can he do? If he cooks for Yontif, he has enough left over. He has left over for Shabbos. Provided he doesn't make what? He doesn't make a harama. Rashi points out, guys, we had it on the Yom Aleph. You're cooking already. So put in one piece, put in 10 pieces. What happens if he does the following? He puts in one piece and he cooks. He goes, oh, maybe Orchim going to come, I'm going to make another piece. Or maybe Orchim going to come, I'm going to make another piece. In other words, that you can't do. The lack of tircha to cook all at once, you could do. But to start making finagling, this, making harama, making tricks, that you can't do. Says the Gemara, just like you can't make tricks, so therefore what? You shouldn't be able to, b'mezid, go ahead and cook. So let's be paisha the shaila that im avar va'afa that it's asa, right? Then ma'erim asa, and if you make a haram, it's asa. So if haram is asa, guys, kol shekain being over b'mezid is asa. Again, what do you do over here? I cooked, and now I didn't cook enough. Oh, I'll make another piece. That's harama, asa to do. Says the Gemara, if that's asa to do, kol shekain mezid is asa to do. So let's be paisha that shaila, but mezid afa over v'afa, it's no good. Says the Gemara, believe it or not, guys, haram is worse than mezid. We're going to see a fabulous Rashi. Look at the Gemara, Rashi. Harama karmit. You go in ahead and you want to be paisha to shaila. If you're oifa b'mezid, you want to be paisha to shaila from harama by a trick. Shiny harama de'achmiru barabanan tfei mi mezid. They're machmer even more than mezid. Let's see Rashi, guys. Shiny harama. Lo'olam avar v'afar muta. Ken zayin, if you were mazed, you were over without having an erev tavshilin, and you baked or cooked or matmin, it's muta. V'harama ain't a raya, and just because harama is usher, there is no raya to mazed. The shiny harama mi mazed. The ikal meimar achma barabonim harama tfei mi mazed. The ilu mazed Russia who laver al divrei chachamim who said you have to make an erev tavshilin. No one's going to go ahead and learn from him. This guy, you go to his house, he goes, ha, erev tavshilin, I don't give a hoot. And he cooks. You're going to go ahead and say, oh, look, he did it, I can do it. You're going to say the guy's a Russia. He's over there chachamim. And guess what? This person will see that other people aren't doing it, he'll do tshuva. Therefore, the erev tavshilin is not going to be forgotten. Avol marim, if you start making hanky-panky, if you start going in and making tricks, savar, lasos beheta, the guy's going to say, wow, look, it's mutter. Hilkach lo yoshev el liboy lachsor. He's not going to think about that he made a mistake. Ve'acherim lamidim menu, and others going to learn from him. Uma'akra teres erev, and no longer will you have the teres erev. Hilkach kansur rabbanon, that it's usher. So again, what do we want to do? We wanted to say, just like Haram is asa, Kol Shekain Mezid asa. No. Mezid, people won't learn from him. B, the guy's going to realize he's of Russia and he'll do tshuva. However, Harama, one, people learn from it. Two, if they said it's mutter, then I don't have to do tshuva because it's mutter. I didn't do anything wrong. And the whole Torah of Erevin will be forgotten. The chum cancelled by a Rambam that it's asa, it's more chum than mezid. So Mamela, you can't be pushed the shaila from the case of Arama that whether of that it's asa. You can't be pushed that shaila. The Gemara continues on its quest. Rav Nachman by Yitzchak Amar, you can't bring me right from that brisa that they're mach by Arama that's machmir. Is Hamani is Chananya. That brisa that was machmir is Chananya. V'aliba de Beishama de Tanya Chananya Omer Beishama Yoimrim ein oifen elam kain orav bepas. Ve'ein mevashna elam kain orav betavshul. Ve'ein toim elam kain hoya. Chamin toim nerv yontiv. Beisol loimim arav betavshul echad v'oisa bekol tzarcha. Pirish. Like Beishama, you got to match it up. If I wouldn't have pas, I couldn't bake. If I didn't have a cooked meat, I couldn't cook. If I didn't have atmana on an object, I couldn't do atmana. So that price before that was machmir is kunik chanayim beishamai. Beisil says once you go ahead and bake one thing or cook another thing, that would be mata everything. That would be mata everything. So the previous price that you wanted to bring a rye from a Rama, that's a chumrah like beishamai. We don't pass like beishamai, therefore it's not a kasha. You can't be pushed the shaila about what of being over va'afar. Okay, this by the way is the halacha about pas that we learned yesterday. This is the source that even though we're going to see, we're going to do a taisus in a second. It's going to answer your question about Rabbi Avi. That even though we said that you should be marav pas, be machmir, since it's a baked object and you want to bake the machmir. We're going to see Bez Hashem. We're going to see taisus. Okay. Anyway, says the Gemara Vaita. Toshma or Tanan. Toshma or Tanan. Amaisa peirosa of b'Shabbos. Now you know you're not allowed to take ma'aser from peiros to Shabbos, right? It's like exerit tikkun money. You're fixing something. B'shoigeg yochel, b'mezid lo yochel. B'shoigeg you eat, b'mezid you can't eat it. If you did it b'shoigeg, you could eat it. The ma'aser. If you did it b'mezid, you can't eat it. So just like you can't eat if you're over on taking off ma'aser. Who adin, you can't eat if you're over on the din d'Rabbanan of Erev Tavshilin. They're both din d'Rabbanan. Separating Maisa is a din d'Rabbanan, as tikkun mon. It's not the rice tikkun din. You didn't do any malacha. It's similar to tikkun mon, Michael Bapatish, right? So this is the Rabbanan. And nonetheless, b'mezid, what do we say? You can't eat it. So who adin, the Gemara Tzush tells to being mafish Meiser on Shabbos, cooking on without an Erev Tavshilin. Like tzricha the islay peri, you know why? Over there, you know why? Really, you should be able to eat it, but he has other peiros. Since he has other peiros, we won't let him eat it. Mashen came by erev tavshilim, he doesn't have other food. Maybe he would be able to eat it. So you can't be paisha the shaila. Toshma hamatful kelav b'Shabbos. Again, tefillas kelim also tikkun mana. B'shoigeg yishtamish b'hem. You can use them b'mezid lo yishtamish b'hem. So who adin by erev being over on being offer on an erev, you should not be able to use. Like tzricha dislay money achrina, same teretz. Before he had other peiros. Over here he had other pots. Hinami efsheh b'sheil. It's possible to go ahead and borrow pots. Mashen came by erev tavshilin, where I guess he didn't have food. Maybe it's mutter. Tashma hamvashel b'Shabbos b'shoigeg yochel b'mezid lo yochel b'shoigeg you're not supposed to cook on Shabbos. Then the raisa b'mezid you eat b'shoigeg you can eat it b'mezid you can eat it. So let's say who adin by Erev Tavshilin, says the Gemara Sur the Shabbos Shiny. Shabbos is in this skila, it's much more. Maybe the Erev Tavshilin, which is in the Rabbanon, maybe we're not schama. Bottom line is we weren't pushed the Shaila. We in the conclusion of the Gemara, we weren't pushed the Shaila. Okay, the Mishnah had stated how much do you need for an Erev Tavshilin? Beis Shammai says 2 Tavshilim, and Beis Hillel says 1. Beis Shammai Yom Shnei Tavshilin, and we said a dag and an egg is considered 2. Masisin like Tana, the Mishnah is not like the following Tana. The Tanya, Amr B'Shem Ben Elazar, Moedim Beis Shammai Beis Hillel al Shnei Tavshilin shetzarich. That according to this one, even Beis Hillel needs 2. That even Beis Hillel needs 2. Alman Nechelku. What do they argue about? Al dag u Beitzah shelav. A dag and the egg that's on it. Shebeis Shammai Yom Shnei Tavshilin. It's 2 Tavshilin. U Beis Hillel and Beis Hillel says Tavshalech. It's considered only one thing. The Shavim Shem Farfe Beitzah. If you cook an egg. You put it, mamish geschmack, thing to eat, right? Egg in fish. Imagine a hard-boiled egg in a fish. What a geschmack Michael. Oish rosak kaplutoy. So you go ahead and a kaflut is some type of I don't know, vegetable, or you go ahead and you grind it. That's shnei tavshilin. Not like the brisa that Beis Hillel says 2 tavshilin. That malach is like our brisa, our Mishnah that says Beis Hillel says only 1 tafshil. All right, let's finish the Gemara and then we'll see a Taisvis. If you eat or lose it, you shouldn't cook on it, right? If you began if you began going ahead and making the isa to go ahead and bake, then goimer, you can go ahead and complete the job. You can complete the task. If it gets eaten, you can go ahead and complete the job. Now we said over here that what's the halachas like Beis Hillel, right? Let's see Taisus over here. I'm a Rava. Hilchas katana didon ba'alibet Beis Hillel. Pirish Rashi ba'alibet Beis Hillel dekama tavshel echad. So according to Rashi, for erev tavshilin halachically, you only need 1 tavshel. This is where I told Rabbi wrote this yesterday when he asked the question about pas. This is the source why you need pas. The lafiyat tzarich la'ariv gam bepas be'eni yochel la'afos al erev tavshel echad. In other words, he wants to say, fellas, like the halachas like Rebbe Eliezer. Look at me, guys. We said we matched up Rebbe Eliezer, guys. Remember, look at me. He said, cooked food, afia, hatmana. So he wants to say that in achinami, if you wouldn't go ahead and have bread, you won't be able to bake. He wants to say that halacha is like that, Rebbe Eliezer. That's Rabbeinu Tam and kach noig b'Yisrael. However, take a look, very fascinating. If you jump down to the end of Taisus, right before it gets wide, count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines. It says V'lein hiro la Rav Yitzchak. That's the re. Guys, that's the re. V'lein hiro la Rav Yitzchak. I don't know. It's the re. The chada Rav Yitzchak. It's Rav Yitzchak. Chada the mechol hani mashmad leit tzarich el tav shel echad l'chol dava bein lafais bein levashel. Okay, so in other words, he disagrees with Rabbeinu Tam that even if you just made 1 cooked object, it would help you to be able to bake or do atmana. So Rabbeinu Tam says you need the bread for the purpose of baking. A tavshel is not going to do the job. Says the Balitosis, the Rabbi Yitzchak, he says, guess what? No, you only need 1. However, look at the last 2 lines in Taisus. Umikol makam oimari. That's Rabbi Yechiel mi Paris. This is the Gedali Balitosis. Loi malani libi lavar al divei doidi. I can't go ahead against my Rabbeinu Tam. I can't go against Rabbeinu Tam, even though I should. V'tzarech shnei tavshilin pas v'tashel v'chein imadava. So that's the source. The Taisus Firais the halacha. That's why we use pas. Okay, wish everyone a very, very good Shabbos and enjoy. Begin the simcha. The simcha we spoke about. The simcha Yisrael of Sukkot. You begin now. They're building the mitzvahs. Shabbos is here. Shabbos Yom Kippur is over. Bez Hashem. Kadosh Baruch Hu Shnei Yitzchak Kol Mishas L'Bech L'Toiva. Thank you all for listening.
Amen. Thank